Hey, beautifuls. Auntie Cuckoo's back with another doozy for ya, killer kids. Do you guys remember the horrific murder of Maddie Clifton? 8-year-old little girl living in Jacksonville, Florida, murdered by another child. Buckle up, buttercups, because it is a doozy. So it's November 3rd, 1998. Maddie Clifton is outside playing, and she goes across the street to her friend, who she knows. He lives across the street from her, Joshua Phillips. He's 14 years old. She goes over knocking on his door. Hey, Josh, you want to play some baseball in the back? Blah, blah, blah. He is home alone and knows that his dad is very strict and he's not allowed to have friends over when no one's home. You know, he's got very specific rules. Supposedly, again, the stories I share with you guys, this is information I've learned over the years. I don't know these families personally, but supposedly his dad is not only abusive, but an alcoholic and a drug abuser and all these other things. So Joshua fears his dad. But like a typical 14-year-old, he's like, I got a while till dad's going to be home. Sure, let's go in the back and play baseball, Maddie. So Maddie's throwing the ball supposedly and he's hitting it. He hits the ball eventually and it hits Maddie in the face, causing her to bleed and have a mark on her face. And he starts freaking out, knowing, again, supposedly, that his dad's going to be home soon. So he drags Maddie into the house, you know, trying to figure out what to do. And she won't stop screaming and crying. So he then goes ahead and grabs the baseball bat and begins to hit her over the head. And then drags her into his room. His dad comes home. He sits out there and talks to his dad for X amount of time, goes back into his room and hears that Maddie is either like gurgling or gasping for air or something. She's still alive. He then grabs a small little like hunting knife and, as far as I've been able to find, stabs her up to 11 times, even cutting her throat. He then shoves her body under his waterbed, tapes it up, and goes on about his business like nothing's happened. At 5 p.m. that day, Maddie's parents are expecting her home for dinner. She doesn't come home, so they call the police. They begin a search. Josh even helps in these searches. This goes on for 5 to 6 days. Finally, Joshua's mom, Missy, is cleaning his room and sees a wet spot by his waterbed. And she's like, oh, his bed's leaking. So she's trying to like figure out where the leak's coming from, pulling up the waterbed mattress and stuff, and finds a half-naked, decomposing, 8-year-old innocent little Maddie Clifton's body. She runs over to the neighbors, calls the police. That day, Josh is arrested at school. Within hours, he confesses and simply states that he was terrified of getting in trouble from his dad, and that's why he murdered Maddie. It is 1999 when he goes to trial, charged as an adult. He is convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Even though he was 14 years old, he was charged as an adult. He is eligible for resentencing in 2023. Either way, horrific for all families, but rest in peace, Maddie Clifton.